So I suppose just to bring the last two sessions with the breakfast and the lunch and what we've been looking at kind of together, we're also going to look at how to plan a picnic. And this is something that can be used, you know, from maybe you can start at the beginning of the 2 weeks and it can happen the following week or whatever. And it can be, again, as detailed or as vague as you want it to be. And, you know, like you were saying, we could link it in with the nature walk and, you know, planning that, and then maybe following on from your food preparation, you can then go and do that. So from what we did this morning, you can see we have our melon, we have our fruit salad, and then we just have the bananas and the grapes themselves, you know, because sometimes that can just be enough to bring.
Snack.
Yeah, exactly. And also grapes can be great, especially if the weather's really hot. You can actually freeze them, you know, and then you can pop them into a container, something like this. So then they're kind of ready to go when you actually, you know, sit down for your picnic. The other thing then is, how are you going to transport? So this food all looks great on your table at home, but now you're going to be eating somewhere else. So you have to consider, is it a rug I'm going to sit on, or am I bringing my own table and chairs, or is there a picnic bench there, or am I just going to sit down on a wall that I find? So how are you going to actually eat it when you get there? So this here is just an example of what a picnic basket can look like. Now this is quite an elaborate one, and obviously there's glasses, there's cups and plates and knives and forks with it. But I suppose the most important thing that it actually has here is it actually has a cool box. And probably when you're going on a picnic, that is the most important thing.
And you can get lots of lunch bags that have that kind of material on the inside of them now, which is great.
Exactly, and it's the insulation. And you know what, even the freezer bags, carrier bags that you can buy in the supermarket, you know, where if you're buying frozen products, you can actually have one of those. And you can actually use, you know, the ice packs to actually put into that. And again, that will keep it nice and cool for you. Or, like we spoke about our melon earlier on this morning, that if we put our melon into just a simple container like this, pop it into our freezer, the melon will freeze, right? So it'll be nice and cold. That's a nice cold box. We can put into our picnic basket, but again, it's a dual purpose there because we're going to eat it, but also it's going to keep that cool.
And as we were saying, you can do the same thing with fruit juice boxes, the small kind of juice pouches. You freeze them, you pop them in, they serve as the ice that keeps everything cool until you go to eat it, and then by that time it's thawed, then you just drink it. So it has that dual purpose as well.
Absolutely. And I suppose one of the things, like if you look at what we have on the table here, there are some things perhaps that maybe wouldn't be so good for a picnic, alright? Primarily because they really need to be refrigerated. Like say we had the egg mayonnaise that we had in our lunch, but that probably wouldn't be the best thing to take on a picnic. And if you are going to take it on the picnic, then you're probably better off putting it into a container like this and putting it very close to the ice pack that you will have in your container. The other option would be, if you do really like egg mayonnaise and you really want to have it when you're on your picnic, is to bring the hard-boiled egg and your tablespoon of mayonnaise or whatever, and when you're there then you could just mash it up and add your mayonnaise and you have your fresh egg mayonnaise made there and then. With regard to our sandwiches then, so we have our rolls there. So you could have a lunchbox, just a normal lunchbox, or you can get these recyclable bags, you can put those into it, or just then your general bags. You could also use your tin foil. I suppose with the tin foil as well, it does have that insulation piece as well for you to keep it cool if you have the ice in there. Bringing things like lettuce and, you know, greens probably isn't the best idea because they will wilt. And if you are going to bring them, I certainly wouldn't be putting them into the sandwiches now. I would be bringing them in a container if you were to bring them.
And putting them in fresh.
And putting them in, yeah. And that's it. If it's a longer, if you're packing your food maybe very far away from when you're going to be eating it, let's say if you're away for the day, it might be a better idea actually to have all your toppings and your bread separate. So when you actually get to your destination, you actually make your sandwich then.
And just as you were talking about greens there, and I know we mentioned this morning about the fruit and how the acid on top keeps them from browning. Is there is it the same with greens, or is there something else you would use?
It wouldn't really be with the, well, not with the greens really, that wouldn't actually work for those because they're just going to literally wilt because of the heat. Okay. Really, that's really what's going to happen.
Really
not really. But if you wanted to, you could put some ice maybe with it. But again, it's going to get soggy. You know, and putting it into a sandwich before you go probably isn't probably the best idea really, you know. Bringing our fruit like this is great, you know, because then we can chop it up or we can eat it, peel it and eat it, and there you go. The other thing is ice cubes. You know, if you have your fruit cordial or whatever, and make little ice cubes, and again put them in a container, and again they can be nice and refreshing when you're on your picnic. So I suppose there's a whole load of activities actually in the workbook around the whole idea of a picnic. Where did it come from? Where am I going to go? You can have it for, you know, the invitation, so they can invite people. They can link it in with their nature walk, where they might find a place where, oh, that would be nice to go on a picnic. And you obviously don't need anything as elaborate as this for the picnic. You get these like as a backpack as well, which we were saying is probably a lot more convenient because you put on your back. It has all that in it, but it's a lot easier to carry. This, when it's got food and everything in it, will be probably quite heavy. So you're really taking that on a picnic, maybe that you're going to have a car or something like that. You know,
you're not walking.
You're not walking
for a long time.
And also, you know, kids' backpacks can actually be just fine, and they can each take their own lunch or their own little picnic.
And I think that if you're doing the activity where they are inviting, you know, maybe their friends or members of the family that they want to come to the picnic, I think that can be a really good way to get them to work with food that maybe the child or young person themselves doesn't like or isn't very interested in, but you know, they're making that meal or they're making that sandwich for somebody else. So it's a good way to get them to experiment with different foods, even if they're not eating it themselves, but making it up for somebody that they're going to invite.
And as well as that, I suppose they also get to do the research about what would other people like. You know, so that's another bit. You know, they can bring in their IT skills there, maybe do Survey Monkey or something, or Google Form. What foods do they like? What's their favourite? And then they can plan the menu, because they're asked to plan the menu as well on that. You know, so so when we have the weather, you know, we always associate the picnic with the warm weather. But likewise in winter time as well. You know, if you are out walking and the weather is dry, you can still obviously have your picnic. So I think that's everything, isn't it? For the
I think just for younger children as well, the teddy bears picnic can be a really nice thing to do. There's lots of stories that go along with that, so you can do a lot of prep work for it. And then they pick their teddy or their teddies that are coming with them, and then, you know, again, that can be another way of getting them to work with more food than maybe they would just for them, because maybe Teddy likes a particular kind of food, or maybe this Teddy has an allergy to something, so they have to be a bit mindful of that as well.
And that's the food. And when we look at the beverages then that we might take with the flask, obviously we associate with the tea and the coffee, but likewise it can be used to keep things cold, you know, especially during the warm weather. So I think that's it. Just go out, have fun and enjoy planning the picnic. I think that's going to be part of the fun actually of it.